Um, Hi Adam, thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, hi Nathan. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Um, a little bit about myself. Yeah, I guess I live in Melbourne, Australia. Um, I work for a software company, and yeah, I guess that's probably probably all I've really got. Yeah,
But what are some of your hobbies and things that you're interested in?
yeah. Hobbies. I guess probably quite a technology kind of geek. I guess. So into computers and laptops and phones, anything to do with technology and yeah, software and things like that. So on the weekends, instead of hitting the beach, I'd probably be be still using my PC or my laptop or something like that, or playing games. So yeah, I play a lot of video games in my spare time. Yeah.
So do you do things like Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and electronics? Uh, Anything like that?
No, I really wanted to get into Raspberry Pi, but yeah, I sort of missed that that wave, I guess, and probably more focused on more of the software side of things. So getting a piece of technology or paying for things and putting them together. But so I built my own PC, but it's mostly once it's set up, then I'm interested in more of the application side of things or software and design and things, databases, data and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever used a NoSQL database?
Yes, I have. I stumbled across one when one of my friends was doing a university subject on NoSQL. I guess a few years ago, hearing about the buzz, I thought it was a bit of a the hype cycle of NoSQL and big data. And then I happened to look at a couple of them. One was MongoDB, the other one was Neo4j, and there was one of them on Cassandra. So I had a bit of a go at all of those, and they kind of seemed quite fun. And the one that really stood out was Neo4j. That was probably the one that related a lot to, uh, I guess, some of the philosophy sort of stuff that I've been reading as well. So I've been doing a bit of reading lately. And yeah, no, Neo4j is probably the highlight one there.
That's that's awesome. Of course, Neo4j is like a graph database, whereas I guess Cassandra has a completely uh, different approach.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Cassandra's more column database or columnar database. Neo4j is very much a native graph database. So not your typical charts and graphs that way, but more of a graph like a network or relationships and nodes. And I guess Neo4j coined the term of a property graph, or theirs is a property graph. Which is yeah really quite interesting, because if you think about everything that's related in the world, everything that's connected, memory, all of the things people are doing with AI, um, you know taxonomies, ontologies, it's all information that's related with that extra context or semantics on top. So yeah, it's really quite a powerful tool to connect information and then be able to ask questions from that information. Yeah, it's it's pretty cool from my usage of it. Yeah,
Are even people relationships and job history and skills? I mean, uh,
definitely.
I
Actually, Neo4j has done some work, and NASA has done some work with Neo4j on skills as well. So looking at a skills matrix, which actually the current place I work at, I started to put together a Neo4j graph on the types of skills that I was looking for in my, I guess, my organization, or my corner of the organization, around how do you find a certain type of candidate for a job, being that a solution architect for a specific technology, and being able to link, I guess, different skills, attributes, qualities about someone. So not just what they have learnt, but also what their qualities are or their personality is. be able to build a profile and then match that against people in a database that have entered in information like their skills or their personality type, and be able to find the closest match based on that. So yeah, some pretty cool stuff you can do with it.
Wow, it seems like you put together a whole team like that.
Yeah, it's just me trying to find some other people, but yeah.
But I mean, the information inside of the graph database could let you create a team of any type. You just have to define
Well,
what's the
that's it, right?
positions and kind of.
You could create a team that works well together. You could probably even run some scenarios on how they work together and go, oh yeah, this one works out, all right? Who's the manager? Figure that out, and then yeah, spit out a list of people to hire. Yeah,
It sounds like something that would be very useful whenever we start sending people to Mars.
definitely. Yeah. You want to find people that are going to survive well on the aircraft, on the spaceship. Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Oh well, since we're on software and lots of other things, how about crypto? Has that caught your attention any?
It has. It's got my attention in looking at everyone else buy crypto and it go up and down, and I'm kind of I looked at the time it first sort of came out. I was like, oh, that's interesting. It seems a bit unique. It would need to kind of take off a little bit before everybody jumped on board. I also thought, well, just like any other software or computer program that has some sort of layer of security, there's only so many layers of abstraction before somebody else cracks that. So knowing a little bit about computer science, there's some trust there, but also knowing that anything can be hacked. At the beginning, I was a little bit skeptical when it sort of peaked in its rise, and it was a lot per cryptocurrency. I was kind of I was thinking, oh damn it, I should have bought them when they were quite cheap. And then I waited a few months, and then soon enough they sort of dipped down again. I mean, there's potential there for something to be a little bit more regulated, but I'm not sure I'm really ready to jump on and roll the dice on the cryptocurrency at the moment. Yeah.
And the part that I always found a little confusing is on one hand, people talk about it's great for anonymous transactions, but on the other hand, everybody has a copy of every transaction.
Yeah, unless you create an anonymous name, and then like people losing their wallets and not being able to claim the dollars back. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. Yeah. Mm.
It just seems like uh, I mean, every dollar I spend has physical dollar has no weight of its history that it has to carry with it. But
Yep.
every piece of crypto seems to accumulate, become heavier and heavier to move.
Yeah, there's a long list of all the different things someone's bought with it. I mean, that'd be cool, right? To be able to look at all of that and go, where is this crypto? Even on a Neo4j graph database, to be able to link up all of the purchases that one cryptocurrency has purchased. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the history there would be amazing, right? Yeah.
it's just really a good dollar.
Yeah, this one's very dirty. This one is.
This one's pure.
Yeah.
Then you can see like like religious institutions or example that might have a high standards, but I'm sorry, we can accept your
Yeah.
crypto. It's been
We
used
can.
for.
It may not have been you, but we know where it's been.
Yeah, it's tainted. Your money is tainted.
See, see, money laundering would then have to, there'd have to be a whole new thing about that.
Uh, exactly.
Oh.
Uh,
Yeah, so
well,
I haven't really fully got into it, but I like watching the news and seeing. I think blockchain itself is interesting. I haven't done a great deal of research into it, but I started to watch a few videos to, I guess, just skill myself up to understand what it was, and it seemed pretty cool. Yeah.
I don't know about you, but um, my interest in the subject seems to be inversely proportional to the hype.
Yeah, yep. You mean if there's a massive hype, then you're probably not really that interested
Not,
in it. And
yeah,
yep. I think that's safe to stay around that area. Yep. I'm similar. Same with Netflix. As soon as everyone starts talking about a Netflix show, and they say, "Oh, you've got to watch it." I will not watch that show. I'm like, oh, it's gone. Yep.
Yeah. It's gonna be spoiled for you anyway. You know,
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, the
yeah.
buildup is great, and then this happens. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
shit.
yeah, yeah. And everyone's wearing the costumes of the show, and I'm like, I think I've already seen it. I feel like I already have. I don't need to watch it.
Yeah, I'm living it. You
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Um, so did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts to the moon for the first time since 1972?
I did not until you mentioned it to me. I guess when you said it, it's sort of I don't know. It didn't sound like a. I didn't feel surprised about it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Mostly because there's so much talk about going to Mars that sort of you know yeah, I guess cast a shadow over the moon. um, and that when when you mentioned it, I thought, and I started to do some googling. I thought, oh, cool, okay, yeah, we are going, or we are going back to the moon. So yeah, I had no idea until you mentioned it. Hmm.
So what do you think about it? I mean, you said you weren't surprised, but do you see it as being like a good thing to do? That it kind of is exciting, or do you see it as, you know, why are we doing this? You know, we have all these problems here, or maybe back to your Mars thing, you're going, why are we going to the moon? We've done that. Why aren't we just going straight to Mars?
Hmm. Yeah, no, good question. I think one thing I did make sure I didn't do was continue to Google once you mentioned going back to Mars. Um, I then thought, okay, I don't want Google and what the news to sort of impact my thoughts, and I had a good think about it. And I think my first reaction was exactly that. Was, I guess, why are we going back to that? We've been there. There's nothing there. It's just it's a big rock, pretty much. I'm sure there's plenty more there. And some people out there are going to probably scream at me, but I'm sure there's plenty there. But the first initial thing was, yeah, the Mars is next. That's the next new kind of race. And I guess on a let's be the first people to Mars, let's be the first people to the moon, that was kind of my first sort of thought process. And then I thought about it a little bit more, and I thought, well, I think it's probably pretty cool is that technology has changed. I would hope a hell of a lot since back in the 70s, 72. That going there would obviously be easier. Plus, there's probably more things we can test and look at life on Mars. Maybe there's no life on the moon, sorry, but look at on the moon. But I also think that if we are going to go further than just the moon or Mars, then we are going to need to learn a little bit more, or a lot more about our neighboring planets and moons and things like that. So I think having a bit more of a think about it, I thought, okay, well, we can't just pick the next biggest planet that we want to go to and then just try and prepare for that one big leap. I think having those sort of other planets and moons on the way for refueling, for resources, all of those types of things, I think it makes sense to do a bit more practice and a bit more exploring of what's in our backyard before we start going and trying to look for someone that just has life on it, for example.
Well, I mean, one technology that's definitely improved has been video technology.
Definitely, yeah. So we might be able to see a little bit more than just jumping around with a flag, which yeah. And we can also prove that it wasn't filmed in a Hollywood studio as well, right? The moon landing. So that's probably something we can do is a live stream from Mars from the moon to make sure that that it's not filmed in Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to maybe 8K, 3D, 360.
And you know what I'm waiting for? The first movie filmed on the moon, right? It'll be like moon landing, or whatever it needs to be called, or attack from Earth or something. There'll be a new colony, or maybe we might even find what is it, Dr. Evil there? Maybe his secret lair has moved to the moon.
Or it
Yeah.
could be a children's movie like Hide and Seek on the Moon.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Teletubbies, like.
pick a crater, pick yeah, the dark side of the moon, and then yeah, this is. Mm.
Mm.
But no,
Well,
yeah,
we
I think it's probably something necessary for future explorations. Yeah.
one thing that we discovered since the last time we went to the moon was that there's actually water ice that's on the moon. Um,
Yep.
the moon has 1% tilt with respect to the sun, and it has
Okay.
these
Yep.
lots of craters, many of which are around the poles, and it has no atmosphere. So
Yep.
if you're in the shadow, it's extremely cold, and if you're in the sunlight, it's extremely hot. And in these craters, there's areas that have been permanently shadowed. So as the moon goes through its cycles, these areas are always in very extreme cold. In fact, according to the measurements taken from orbit, it's even colder than it is in Pluto, which is way out
Wow.
there.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, because I guess you said one degree, right? So there would be, yeah, the poles, or somewhere up north and south, there would be some sort of a spot that never really gets the sun at all. Yeah.
and the thinking is that over millions and billions of years, wet meteors and comets have hit the moon, and some of those water molecules have tumbled into these areas. And over that period of time, you could, even if it happens every few million years, you can build up quite a bit of material there. So we think there's
Yeah, cool. So
lots of
not
stuff.
just the ice or the water itself, but whatever has landed or whatever has sort of hit the moon. There could be more materials there as well to investigate. Or
Yeah, no, exactly. It's I mean, I hope we don't just look at it as being like a resource for water and toss out
yeah,
the toss out the
yeah,
truly valuable stuff. It's like,
yeah. Wow, we found yeah, a couple of gallons of water. Let's bring it back. That was worth it. Yeah,
oh
that was a good
yeah,
trip.
how does
Yeah,
this taste?
yeah.
You get like that.
It's still cold. Yeah.
It has a bit of
Yeah,
a taste to it.
yeah. Little metallic. It's yeah.
But have you seen these water companies? They're like, this is from this glacier.
Oh
Take it. Yeah.
yeah. Moon water. Yeah,
Moon
it's
water.
like water's already expensive enough, right? In a bottle, water is already too expensive. They don't need to make it even more expensive. It's
But
already
the cool thing, they'll be like, would you like your moon water over the rocks?
yeah. Yeah.
On the rocks.
There's a moon rocket in your drink. Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
where there's a place for advertising. I mean, yeah, we'll get there. There's plenty of money to be made.
and instead of one of those little floatable balloons, you have like a little astronaut figure holding a flag.
The little flag in the ice. Yep. Oh.
That could be interesting.
Yeah.
But a lot of thinking about going to the moon is how does it relate to the context of the future of humanity? Depending
Yep.
upon how you see that future, either it seems like a complete waste and misdirection, or it seems like a logical step. And when you think about the future of humanity, like 100 years, 500 years, 1,000 years in the future, what does it look like to you?
Hmm. Yeah. Okay. I guess growing up, learning, learning a lot, thinking, and back then when many years ago, when people were talking about going to different planets or finding life, and that you kind of build up this little bit of a story or a bit of a history. And I think one of the things that remained in my head was that potentially, that this solar system has only got a certain amount of life, and I'm probably well out of reach of our lifetime, but that we would probably, and global warming, that we may use up a lot of the resources here, or pretty much make it a wasteland, and we're either going to get better at making the Earth a better place to live, or we're going to need to branch out and go to different planets. That was kind of the belief I had when I was younger, thinking, oh, maybe there's a lot of movies, right? Like I think is it Gattaca or something like that? I remember people just sort of like rushing out to leave Earth. I think that was kind of, that formed a part of my thoughts of potentially why we needed to. Probably not so much at the moment that we need to necessarily ditch Earth and start again on a new planet. I mean, that would be kind of cool, but pretty hard to move everyone. I think it's going to be probably fueled mostly by people's curiosity, right? And if people's curiosity is there, and people have dreams and visions of going to different planets and traveling the galaxy, then I think that there's money there. If people want it and there is a dream there, then there is if people invest money or say this is my idea, we want to go to Mars, then there are going to be a lot of people that would pay a lot of money to do that or to invest in that, because then there are a lot of people that would then jump on board and go and fly there or whatever they would need to do. So I think fueled by curiosity, when naturally we're going to, move further out, whether or not we change our home or whether or not some people move to another planet, and then there's people that were only ever born on Mars, like Martians or whatever. Probably not, in our lifetime. But I see it as a necessary need to sort of tickle our curiosity as humans, as thinking and dreaming beings. Yeah, I think money will, need and dreams will fuel the money to get there, and it'll happen. It will just probably happen organically, like bit of Mars, bit of the moon, and then a little bit further out, and you never know, like it will branch off potentially to other places, and we'll get more insights from being in different on different planets or on moons and things like that. So yeah, I think I'd like to think it's somewhat real that we do spread out a little bit more and explore.
Yeah, I share that view as well. But coming back to kind of like this common topic of discussion of we've messed up Earth and we need another planet to go to. Based upon we've sent probes to every planet in the solar system, and pretty much we've observed every moon, major moon as well. And I'm pretty much 100% sure whenever I say this that regardless of how badly we mess up the Earth, it will still be tens of times better than any other place in the solar system.
Yeah. Yep. So the chances of us finding somewhere in our own solar system is pretty slim for us to move there and go, oh, this is better. This is, the grass is always greener. So I don't think that's going to be any time in our lifetime that we'll find somewhere new. So I think it is quite important that we do, try our best here. And there's definitely a lot changing now. There's a lot more climate change policy, and there's a lot more focus on it. And now that there's more focus on it, you start to see businesses and consulting firms and everyone really focusing on that, because it is the new buzz. And if there is focus on it, then people start studying it because there's money in it and it's unique, and it just gets that flow. And it will take time, but we'll get there to the point that I'm sure we will have plenty of things to clean the air and clean the water and filter. It's not going to be the same as what it was when we got here, but it's never going to be, with the rate at which we reproduce and we spread and we organically grow. The planet will never be the same as what it was from the past. So I think it will change, but we'll get better at cleaning it up and preventing, I guess, pollution. I think I'm still torn between whether global warming is just, is mostly our fault. I think we are a lot to blame, in what we do and what we produce and emissions and things like that. But also over time, is that the way that the solar system is working? Are we getting closer to the sun? Is the sun getting bigger? Is it getting hotter? I'm not really a scientist at all, but is there more to it than just that? So are we on two sort of trajectories of the world changing, and obviously we're speeding it up a little bit. So that's my open thought. Yeah.
No, I think that's a good one. And if we had more data to work with, more planets to observe, you could imagine having people living on Mars and kind of observing the effect we have there, and how Mars changes, and that might give a lot of insight.
True. Mm.
There are a couple of risks that do make sense to have humans in multiple places to kind of hedge against. pandemic. I think we were lucky with COVID. I know it doesn't seem like luck, but it could have been a lot worse. you know,
Definitely, yeah.
I mean, uh, I think in our minds it still is a lot worse. We're still in
Yep.
that fear stage, but um, with the world being so interconnected as it is, if you have a deadly disease that is able to be transmitted without being detected,
Mm.
and it's deadly,
Mm.
it will spread around the world in days and weeks. It's just too
Yeah,
many
yeah, yeah.
people moving around and interacting with each other. I mean, despite all these online interactions, we still
Mm.
have a lot of physical interactions, and markets and
Yeah, yeah,
buses
yeah.
and coffee shops and
Just travel, right? Like travel and the affordability that travel became meant that we were moving around the world so much more, and then we got used to it. And then when we were locked in our house that we live in, for a couple of months or whatever it was for lockdown, it was the end of the world, right? To, to what we'd been used to. After some time, like now, I'm like, oh, actually, I might just stay home this weekend. I quite like it here, but I'm sure once I can fly internationally, I will. But you're right. I think we're lucky because for a couple of things, lucky it could have been a virus that was much worse, and we know how quickly COVID spread. What if that virus was just a bit more worse and a bit more harder to treat? Then yeah, we could have just been kind of mostly wiped out, right? And we're also lucky at the rate of which we do create vaccines, and that because it wasn't just a single country's problem, it was the world's problem. Everyone getting together and trying to race towards the vaccine. Also, we were quite lucky that we had technology to come up with vaccines that quick. So
I, as you were talking, I was remembering, I was listening to this book review. The author was talking on radio about the science of heartbreak, and it was talking about how our immune system actually changes depending upon our mood. And it was
okay,
saying
yep,
that whenever you're with a group of people and you feel part of a community, your immune system becomes more how should I say better at fighting against viruses and those communicably transmitted diseases. But whenever
yep,
you
yep.
feel lonely, it kind of tunes down that virus fighting thing and becomes better
Wow.
at fighting kind of like cuts and bruises and those types of things that you might experience and when you have to defend for yourself as opposed to uh,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and and I was just thinking that that might be an interesting thing to explore in terms of when you have these lockdowns and people feel isolated, does it make them more susceptible to actually contracting a virus?
Yeah, so does a digital or virtual community, even though we're talking to people, online all the time, does that have the same effect as an actual physical community sense or group sort of feeling? Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. That's interesting just to learn, right? Is that there's a study that that people have done on that. So you're saying that when you're in you have that small community feeling, you can you're more resilient to viruses and things like that. So your immune system is higher. But then if you're not in that, your immune system is less resilient. But then you get better at curing cuts and bruises, so they'll actually heal quicker. Is that what you're saying?
That is what I understood. Which,
Okay,
which
that's pretty cool.
this is like one of those
Yeah,
telephone or Chinese whispers or whatever
yeah,
game
yeah,
it's
yeah,
called, where the scientist said one thing, the
yeah.
author wrote
Did
something
you
else.
read it in a fortune cookie, or was it
Yeah,
written on the back of a toilet door somewhere? Okay, yeah, I believe it.
exactly.
Yeah, yep, that sounds good.
I mean, that's where the true wisdom is to be
Yeah,
found.
I was gonna say most of the things I've learned have been from those two things.
Uh,
Mm. But yeah,
but
that's pretty cool. Yeah. Mm.
Elon Musk. Have you heard of him?
Of course. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
What do you know
Yeah.
about him?
I knew about him from the days of PayPal, so I, heard that he was at least one of the co-founders or one of the, the founders of PayPal, which I thought was pretty cool, back then to have that sort of, that middleman kind of transaction system and that protection, at least for online transactions. It was definitely needed on the internet. So knew that was him, and then I guess the Tesla thing was his next, I guess, biggest thing to my knowledge. I didn't follow him because of the PayPal days, but I knew of him, and then the Tesla and SpaceX and stuff like that. Yeah, I follow him on Twitter. I think I listen to Grimes, so I do know I do listen to him or watch him on Twitter, and I think some of the stuff he says is funny, but some of the stuff obviously is definitely coming from someone that probably has a lot of followers, so he probably just gets a little bit bored and posts some things. So it's entertaining for me. But yeah, no, I think he's doing some good things, really good things.
Yeah, and I never really thought about that aspect of getting bored and then like tweeting something just to watch the reaction. You're like, is
You've
it?
got that many people watching you. You're like, oh, I wonder what it's like, a little experiment, right? You've got that many people watching you, and you're like, I own, I'm running Tesla, I'm running SpaceX, sending people to Mars soon. What? Yeah, you probably get a little bit bored, right? Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I just imagining like this a rich person sitting on top of a balcony, seeing all these little kids playing below, and it's like, what if I toss this game down there?
Yeah,
What will happen?
yeah, yeah. Which one's going to win? Which one's going to fight over it? And yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it's quite entertaining. If you look at it from that view, you kind of go, okay, what's he trying to trigger here? Because he knows how it works. He's pretty smart, I think.
Are you like screaming? You're like monster. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
do they run away from the water or to it?
yeah. When they're in a community sense, that's different. That's when they survival. They're fighting for the water. But yeah, no, I think he's yeah, look, I think he's used his knowledge. I think he wouldn't have been able to get to where he is without his brain, right? Like I think he's a quick thinker. His brain must just rattle off, different scenarios, different thoughts, million miles an hour to be able to think of all of those things and then whittle it down to some good ideas. And then he is also has to be good at just picking people, right? Like he has to be good at quickly being able to talk to someone and go, okay, you get it, you don't. Okay, building a team, and then probably cracks the whip a lot to get them to work. But I think that's also an opportunity for those people to work hard. If they're working with him, then it lifts their game too, right? It's that pyramid effect. It kind of naturally forms. So I think he's doing great things and pretty cool things. And yeah, I support most of what he's doing.
That's an interesting point about like figuring out who to be put on the team. You get it, you don't get it, and I think
Mm,
a lot of people actually have that skill, but the one thing that they really lack that I think Elon has is kind of like this ruthlessness. Like people understand like the impact of tossing people off of a team, and I think that makes them hesitant to do
yep,
that and make them question their own judgment,
yep.
which kind of keeps them from forming these very narrowly focused high performing teams. I was wondering what you thought about that.
So you mean, so you broke up a little bit there, but you're
Oh,
talking about, yeah, sorry.
to be able to have the ruthlessness or
Mm,
the lack of emotional connection to be able to say, kind of be that selective, right? To
mm.
be able to form a team in that way.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, lack of personal or emotional connection, or being able to put it aside, maybe is the question. Maybe there is that lack of emotional connect in people that can choose those teams, or maybe they know what they put it aside because they're very much of a logical thinker, and they go, okay, well, actually, this is the right thing to do, and it needs to be done. and I can put aside emotions. I can put aside other people's emotions because I need to get this done because I believe in this so strongly that it has to be done. So I think there's also that potentially can also happen, right? I know myself that I'm similar in the sense that I if I see an argument or I see people talking, I'll even be the devil's advocate, or I'll say something just for the fun of the conversation or the debate itself. So, being able to look at it and go, okay, well, I'm going to put your beliefs and my beliefs behind and sort of come at it from this angle and see how that works. So I think being able to separate um, somebody's feelings, somebody's, I think thinking if you think too far about someone's feelings or into their life, that would probably stop a lot of people, right? They have that compassion, but being able to go, okay, this is for a bigger thing than one person's compassion. Maybe that's a trait that you would need to build one of those teams. Yeah.
And then ultimate faith in your judgment. That would be another
Oh,
thing.
definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
The confidence, you need to have that confidence. Like it needs to be 200% sure that you're going to achieve something. Yeah.
Well, do you know what the official purpose of SpaceX is?
I know that there's obviously Starlink, which is sending up the satellites for satellite internet. So I know that's one reason why there's a lot of SpaceX rockets going up, and I may be wrong here, but and then there's also the Mars things, but I'm sure I'm missing something if you're asking me the question. So, um, is it for space? Like, is it for studying? Mostly for studying the actual going into orbit, or?
Elon says that he's founded the company for one purpose, and that everything that he's doing is specifically for this purpose. That's to make life planetary.
Okay.
Specifically, I think his vision is to create a 1,000,000-person city that's self-sustainable on Mars by 2050. And so that's kind of been the entire drive of the company. Everything is to develop the technology, the financial resources, and everything to make that happen. And I was just wondering what you think of
Cool.
that vision.
It's pretty bold, but I think it can be done, right? If I think getting something like that bold done, or that sort of adventurous, I guess. He's done things like that before, right? And he knows how that works. And I think if you ask a lot of people that would be interested in that, how much they would pay, they'd be thinking of how much they would be able to pay. It's already a thought in their head that they just need to be there or want to be there, the first person to be there, the first ship to be there, the first family to settle there. There are so many dreams that drive that and fuel that. He just has to sell the vision and the story and have it's for him. It needs to be marketing. It needs to be pictures of people with bubble hats on, dancing around on Mars or whatever it needs to be. But he's a good salesman, right? So if he can trigger it right, he can get the right marketing, the right imagery, everything working. It's possible, definitely. And I think he's probably the only one bold enough to do it, with the money, with the right confidence, with that kind of we're just going to get this done and stand aside kind of mentality. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool, right? Like I think that also out of that, you're also going to drive competition, and we're never going to get somewhere if it's just one person trying to go there. So I think at the same time, he's going to drive that sort of competition of, maybe it's not competition of, oh well, someone else starts a company and says, well, we're going to get to Mars by 2049. I don't think it's going to be that kind of race there. They're not going to try and challenge him to get there, but it will also mean that there will be other industries stood up to then support that into 2050. So there'll be other, maybe companies that send up, maybe really's talking out of school here because I don't really know what I'm talking about, but maybe there's, space stations up there on the way. So it's potentially not just going to be one, like his one sort of company that gets there, but it will be another bunch of companies. So he's really good at bringing in and selling the vision and bringing people along for the ride. So I think it's 2050. Yeah, it's not that long away, is it? Yeah, I think it's a million people by that time, or Really, 1 million people by that time. Yeah, okay. That's the bold part. Look, maybe if you had said 50,000 people, I would have said, yeah, that's doable. 1 million people, I don't know. Yeah, I'd like to
It's
see it.
it's just amazing to think about. 1901, we had the Wright brothers take a few second flight on a heavier than
Mm.
airplane. And then how long was it before we had the first million passengers on airline travel? I don't think it's that many decades after that.
First million would have been what, 50s or something, 40s or something? I don't know.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
have to go
yeah,
look that up, but
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
or consider, the first modem and computer connection, and how long was it
Oh
before we had
yeah,
1 million connections, or the first cell phone, and how,
yeah.
what was the adoption rate? Of course, I
Well,
mean,
yeah.
once, yeah,
The technology adoption rate is there's so many aspects to that that people will go, oh, they're doing it, so I'm going to do it. That sort of keeping up with the Joneses, but also, it then becomes more affordable. So I think the adoption rate over time was he'd need to get there by 2030 to start people for people to start saving up to wanting to fly there. But yeah, I think there's probably there'd be definitely many more millions of people that actually want to go there, and then the people that can afford and will actually make it part of their life dream. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, but
um,
getting that many people on ships, like how many flights are there? Yeah.
he's talking about having thousands of ships every 2 years, which is like
Wow.
basically looking at the way the two planets orbit the sun, and the alignment. That's every I think it's like every 22 months, you're in like optimal position for the
Oh
quickest
wow.
path. So, uh,
Cool.
but have you seen what he's been building in South Texas, near where I live? Um,
No, no, I haven't. No.
so one of the problems with spaceflight is we treat them like missiles, one-time use things. Um,
Oh yes. Yep.
and
Is it the
so,
self-landing? The self-landing, that is
yeah,
cool, right? Like that it just sort of comes down and then has the little rockets that kind of keep it, that stabilize it. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
well, in South Texas, he's building a huge one that could carry 100 people at a time, and is 100% reusable, even with their current Falcon 9 rocket that they use to launch the Starlink satellites. The second stage is still has to be thrown away and
Yep.
rebuilt, but the first stage is reused, and the fairings that cover up the satellites at the top are reused. So they're getting closer. But this other one's supposed to be 100% reusable, and he's
Wow.
talking about using it for point-to-point travel. So from
Yeah, yeah, yep.
Melbourne to Houston in 30 minutes. We could have had this in conversation, had
Had a
lunch,
coffee or a
midnight.
beer or something. It's midnight here, so maybe yeah, maybe a drink.
Yeah, drink. Exactly.
You could be at one New Year's party and then fly to the other side of the world and
Yeah,
still
you just
make
keep
another New
hopping.
Year's party,
You're
right? You just
like,
keep going. Yeah.
you're like, I've been to 24 New Year's parties,
Yeah. And I'm done. Yeah.
and I'm done.
And rocket flight at the same time. Yeah, I don't think you'd probably survive anything beyond the fourth flight. But yeah, okay, point to point, 100 people, right?
Yeah, and like a 747, it flies from Houston to Melbourne. It's only going to
Hmm.
do one flight every day and a half, every day.
Yep, yep.
But if you're able to get there in 30 minutes, that same ship could do like 10 flights a day.
Wow.
So you're able to get
30 minutes. Seriously. Wow.
you're able to get a
Yeah, yeah.
quicker return on investment.
Yeah, yeah.
From being able to have that. Mm.
I'm just wonder what the fuel price would be, would be to actually send it,
I think the fuel price is less than $1 million a flight.
Okay. Which is
And you,
cheap compared to probably what it was, yeah, sending one rocket up previously.
and so they use liquid methane and oxygen. Um,
Okay.
Now, liquid methane you get from carbon dioxide and a reactive hydrogen.
Yep.
And you get oxygen out of that reaction too. So it could be even carbon neutral, if you
Wow.
get it
Okay.
out of the air. Of course,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you have to go through a lot of air to get enough to produce the amount of liquid
Yeah,
methane
yeah, yeah.
and oxygen you need. But yeah, so that's kind of that.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So if it if he's successful in doing that, do you see yourself as being one of those immigrants that go to Mars?
I'd have to try the Melbourne to Houston one first.
Sure.
Um, I'd have to probably say what's in it for, like, what's there for me to go there. I don't think I mean, the dream of going to another planet, Mars would be cool, right? But I want to know, okay, is there enough for me to stay there, or would I miss it, would miss Earth? And of course I would miss Earth for certain things. Um, but really, what's in it for me to be there and stay there? Yeah, I could probably give it a go. I mean, even just being one of the first people to settle on Mars would be pretty cool, but you'd only be around people on Mars to then show off to, and they're also the
Yeah.
first people colonizing on Mars. So you go, this is this
So
is
you're also on Mars, and you're on Mars.
yeah. Yeah, this is I'm not picking up anyone. This is yeah, this is my pickup lines are gone. Yeah.
Gone. So a Martian walks on a bar. Yeah, that
Yeah,
happens every 20 minutes.
yeah. Take a seat, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, see,
Um,
that
yeah.
always, kind of. I think that realization is key. There's like all these people that signed up for this company that really wouldn't do anything to go on a trip to Mars one way, and they're all,
Mm,
oh, I'm going to be the first settlers on Mars. Nobody wants to settle Mars. What they want to
yeah.
do is to go there and come back here and be unique
Yep.
among their group.
Yeah, and say I went to Mars. I've even got a
Exactly.
tattoo or whatever it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep,
And I
yep,
don't think
yep.
they quite realize what it's going to cost them in terms of human
Yep.
effort and misery.
Is it to forget about the elbow grease they're putting into it? It's the elbow, then yeah, it's costing you everything, right? Like,
Everything.
so it's really some people are paying to go one way to Mars so
I
far.
don't think they were paying. There's like this group
Or they're
called
just
Mars
volunteering.
One. Yeah, just volunteering. But
Can you eat bananas? And can you do you want to hop on this ship and be the first people? Yeah.
yeah, I think bananas would be a very rare, highly prized, commodity on Mars.
Oh,
I think you'll
definitely.
be eating gook,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it'd probably be good not to know where the gook came from.
I
Just
was good.
saying.
It reminds me of the movie Snowpiercer, right? Do you remember the little? Have you seen Snowpiercer in the movie?
I haven't.
The people at the back get fed this kind of like, yeah, this goop kind of stuff in a bar. Oh, it's like a little bar, but I think it's all crickets and insects and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, I should probably better not to ask. Yeah.
Well, there's some places on Earth where crickets and insects are a delicacy. So,
Yeah.
um,
Yep. Yep.
you
Good
know,
good source of protein, right? Yeah.
a lot of it's how
Mm.
you're brought up, I guess. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
we always crave the food of our youth.
And like,
Um,
don't put it in a goop bar. Just eat them like they are. They're better that way. They're crunchier. Mm.
um, so you're in Australia. New Zealand is one of the closest countries to you. I was
Yep.
wondering if you're familiar with Rocket Lab.
Rocket Labs. No, I'm not. Oh, someone told me about this the other day that they're looking at building a rocket that's cheaper and less expensive than SpaceX. I can't remember. That's all I remember about it. And I heard that it was a New Zealand company. Yeah. Am
Yeah,
I right?
there's this guy over there, Peter Beck. He
Okay.
created Rocket Labs. Rocket Labs is the second private company to actually put things into orbit, and
Okay.
I think it's so cool. It
It's
came
from
from
New
New
Zealand.
Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's some obscure things that come out of New Zealand. It's quite a small country. I'm actually, my dad's from New Zealand, so I'm half New Zealand, and I've been over there a few times to visit family, and it's just such the quietest, peaceful kind of place. Even the capital city, Auckland, it's still a small city. You go, oh yeah, it's just a lovely place, lovely scenery, perfect weather, like no snakes, barely. I think there's no spiders. It's yeah, it's beautiful. So yeah, they're building rockets now. That's that's quite odd.
It is. It is. Um, well, Adam, thank you so much for your time and for talking to me. I know we covered a lot of topics. Um, is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Um, no, I think we covered off most. I mean, really, I mean, it was Moon and Mars, right? I think amazing places to go back to. I think I poured out a lot of my thoughts. So I think that's I think we covered everything I was thinking of covering. So yeah.
I think people not even born yet, from 100, 200 years from now, will enjoy this conversation.
Oh, good. Hopefully, and maybe we'll still be alive, you know, with technology changing. So,
Oh, exactly. We might be the ones enjoying this
well, yeah,
conversation.
we're going back to it, going, oh, that's
We were funny then. Look at
yeah,
how
yeah,
we laughed.
yeah, yeah. We shouldn't have bet money on Mars. We knew we were never going to get there. No. Oh, cool.
Well, good deal. Well, you have a good night. I imagine you at work early in the morning. So,
I do, yeah.
okay. Well,
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. Yeah, yeah.
thank you, Adam. Bye bye.
Good to see you. Bye.